Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Tuesday, October 6th. News from Arkansas. Interesting story today on Huffington Post. Jay Dickey, a former congressman from Arkansas, gave a long interview with Huffington Post in which he said he regretted a signature piece of legislation from his time as Congress. That was a 1996 law, now named after him, that essentially prevented the Centers for Disease Control from continuing to do research on guns and how they presented a safety hazard in the home. The NRA hates these studies. Any study that shows that guns can be a hazard are things they don't like, because they can produce reform legislation that might, who knows, cause fewer guns to be sold. Dickey says he's sorry that there hadn't been studies like those done with cars and advancements to make cars safer to drive and safer to ride in, and he wishes that things were different. The story goes on to say that that legislation has been expanded in many ways. The NRA was successful in getting Congress to prevent doctors from compiling information about guns in the homes of their patients. This is not really so much a crime problem as it is a safety problem. Guns are a leading cause of homicide in the country. They're a leading cause of suicide. If they could be made safer, who knows, fewer people might die. Legal developments in Arkansas. Late yesterday, Planned Parenthood filed a notice and asked for an expedited hearing from Judge Christine Baker on making its lawsuit attempting to stop the state from cutting off Planned Parenthood from Medicaid reimbursements to make it a class action for all payments. She'd ruled that the state could not abrogate the contract as to 3 plaintiffs, but it didn't cover all potential patients of Planned Parenthood. They would like to have all patients covered. That's as many as 1,000 people in the course of a year. Today, the state of Arkansas Attorney General Leslie Rutledge asked the U.S. Supreme Court to consider overturning lower court decisions that found the state's 12-week abortion ban unconstitutional. She thinks it's time to review Roe v. Wade. She thinks that more importance should be given to a 12-week-old fetus than to an adult woman who would like to terminate a pregnancy. U.S. Senator Tom Cotton is back in the news. He's pulled out of his extortion playbook again. The decision to withhold approval of nominations to ambassadors by the Obama administration until he gets the kind of answers he wants about leaks from the Secret Service that were unflattering to a U.S. congressman that was raising questions about the Secret Service. It's a fair inquiry as to what the Secret Service did. Whether Cotton should pick and choose what issues he wants to stymie government on to get the answers he wants is another question. Cotton's name is also in the news because he, like every member of the South Carolina delegation, voted against Hurricane Sandy aid back in the day of that devastating hurricane. They're all being asked now, what's the difference with South Carolina's obvious need for emergency aid in the midst of its record flooding? The Little Rock police today announced that they had made an arrest in a hit-and-run death 6 weeks ago at Rodney Perham and Old Forge. A pedestrian was hit by a van. A man turned himself in, a 35-year-old man, on negligent homicide charges today. They had issued a warrant for his arrest. The Razorback Foundation will be led in the future by Scott Verity, who'd been a general counsel staff member for the University of Arkansas. He's been integral in a lot of the university's decisions to keep a lot of how the athletic department operates behind the curtain that the public can't see. He's a good pick for the job for that reason. He is a UA graduate and loves the Razorbacks, and that's a big qualification too. Prayer in school. Some school superintendents just won't quit trying to find a way to do it. Story from the Texarkana Shreveport TV station about Ashdown. They've been having a band director lead prayer. Students have been leading prayer at football games. An organization that promotes separation of church and state has complained. The school superintendent has found a group that promotes prayer in schools to say that what they're doing is okay. They've made some small changes. You just can't stop them from praying, and praying in the way that the dominant religion in the institution's community wishes that they pray. And Ashdown, that would be a Baptist church, which seems to be setting the tune. Finally, this good news. Cat Robinson went out to the state fair to see what the new food would be on the state fair midway. The state fair opens Friday nights, you may know, and there's always new and terribly unhealthy things to eat on the midway. She features something that drew my attention, a 2-foot-long hot dog. Yes, they've doubled down on a foot long. It looked pretty good to me, but I didn't see that there was slaw on it. My dog's got to have slaw on it. She says it weighs in at 2.5 pounds. Don't ride the tilt-a-whirl after you eat this thing. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team.